And live we are, yes, but I'm not seeing you there as usual. And as usual, also, I'll do the proper procedure here. Yes, procedure almost done. Done right now. And now I'm seeing you, Julieta. Be very welcome one more time. Thank you for your trust, for your attention, and for your presence once more. Good evening. Welcome to you all when you arrive. Today we are going to talk about self-coaching for purpose. Self-coaching for purpose. What do I want to stress here is that self-coaching, whatever expression we may use, because if we go to the utmost authority onto coaching issues, which is the ICF, the International Coach Federation, and if you try to search for self-coaching, no results are no search results are delivered. I find it a little bit odd, to be completely honest with you, but I'm not a member from ICF, so I can understand that the reasons can be very clear, but not for me. But for me, the most significant body of coaches worldwide considered should have some sort of information around a concept that it's really crucial in terms of our own coachability, disposition, and ability. Yes, because self-coaching really is the base of everything, according to the coaching realm of human development, if we use the term. And I'm using the term because I believe it really is a great term, because it really stresses the responsibility that we must have in all cases, being or not a participant in other processes and offers from the human development self-help space. And so as such, I really believe that our own ownership of our development is really crucial. And as such, I cannot go forth without mentioning this specific dimension of the self-coaching as really a pillar in terms of deliberate practice onto finding, living, and perfecting our own purpose in life, personally or in organizations, no matter what type of context. So, as usual, please put your comments, your questions, your remarks here, and I will answer them or comment, give my opinion, make some other remark, etc. As long as you wish, whenever you wish, and it will be my pleasure to do so. So let's start with the concept of self-coaching. Self-coaching. Coaching really amounts to, and it can have some meaning, some different meanings. In terms of coaching, in terms of the ICF type of perspective, it's a process in which the coachee and the coach participate together in order to generate movement towards an intended result from A to B, put in very coaching type of perspective and point of view. So, when we talk about self-coaching, we are talking about the process of going from A to B, to a current A point, to a future desired B result, mostly by our own mediums. And in fact, in reality, really, even with another coach participating on our journey, it really will be by our own efforts, because by definition, also coaching mostly is a process of unleashing, of releasing potential on the coachee, for him to take his or her proper measures. As such, there isn't a direct participation on the generation of results. And that's one of the reasons that I say that the process, the journey that I offer to my clients is not a coaching journey, is not a coaching offer, in the sense that I understand that I participate in the journey with my client with the utmost care, not to pervert or distort their own way of walking through life. And that's the big challenge, not to project our own understandings, our own ways of seeing things, giving the hand and simultaneously making the other walk to the best of their authentic expression. Yes, because that's what it's all about. It's being truthful and authentic and expressing that very beingness to the utmost creative and positive, benevolent expression possible. That's what we are trying to achieve in all of this. As such, self-coaching, making these parentheses and these clarifications, really is the back and bone of it all. Really is the back and bone of it all, because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, at the middle of the day, we really are with ourselves in charge of it all, in charge of what really is the decisions that we make, in charge of the behaviors that we take, in charge of whatever is taking place in the middle of it. Our thoughts, our feelings, our sense perceptions, our emotions, our worldview, and our adjustments, our calibrations of those to the best of our ability to do so. And of course, that's the role of a coach, and that's the role of a facilitator, of a mentor, of a consultant. Each with every different type of improvement help, for sure, because of the different type of role they take onto the process. But in the end of the day, it really amounts to some fundamentals that are really crucial in order for us to go forth ever more truthfully to our own essence. And of course, self-coaching is one of those disciplines, if you prefer, that in terms of purpose driven, it really is more significant than in other types of focus, because it really is even more personal, and it really can be very, very deep. It can be the most deepest type of process, at least in my understanding, because we humans are so rich and so complex in our manifestations, although we do have a common constitution that bounds us all in that regard, and many other regards, of course. But it really is so sensitive ground, because it really amounts to our own voice to come forth and to express itself the way it really is, and not to dismiss things that the rest of the world, especially in our specific life context, can label as unviable or stupid or unsuited or impossible, or whatever type of dismissing that may be, and as such, and because it really is a digging, a sensitivity, digging and nurturing process, especially at the very beginning, where there is roots to be duly get their place. It really is very important that we feel completely at ease to be with ourselves and to discard all sorts of noise from the outside. Now I see your comment or question, Julieta. Nothing like having that inner voice from our self-coach telling us to do it. Yes. I swear I have had all discussions inside myself, and now you are introducing a very nice topic, Julieta, because really is a technique, the internal round table technique that I now associate with your comment. And it is really expressed in your comment. The internal round table technique, it is the technique that allows us to really have a dialogue with ourselves without being a lunatic or without being crazy as such. It really is a psychotherapeutic technique that can be used independently of another professional, and it really is recommended that people can do so. And many authors have spoken about it. Some of the most common authors that spoken about it here in Portugal, one of them is Mr. Augusto Corri. Is spoken about this technique, the round table internal technique. It's like you imagine different sides of your personality, different interests, and it really is purposeful to think about it. Different interests, different options, different life paths, different passions, different opportunities, and then we can think, depending on what type of reality is happening at the moment, we can think that we are sitting those in a round table, and then we are the referee, in a sense, and we can, and of course it helps if we can have some sort of pen and paper, or if you like to record, record your voice doing so, and to really have the sense of what those internal sides of us are wanting in terms of their needs, in terms of their aspirations, in terms of their conflicting positions, because that's the thing that many times takes us to the dialogue, the internal dialogue type of discussion. And of course you should, and the referee, picking directly your comment again, the telling us do it, maybe it's the referee, but before the referee, our own centeredness type of awareness, which amounts to the king or the queen if you prefer, which is the self-leadership that will make an option, that will decide. That use really only can be peaceful if a contest of forces inside us, of biopsychic forces, are taking place. The decision in peace can only happen when we fully consider the needs from each side. And that's the thing. And of course, you don't need to make it into different voices or to a table, blah blah blah. This is some just metaphors in order to help to make the process more clear, because it really can amount to seeing the pros and the cons to different type of options that really nurture more different type of roles inside ourselves. And that time we can make the question, but what really is making, what really nurtures the very best of myself at this very moment? And what do I fear in this option? And what do I want? What inspires me? And in this side. And sometimes there are two sides. This is sometimes it's a polarized type of argument inside ourselves, and we have the B plan, which tends to be a more conservative type of plan, or also the resistance type of movement, if you recall that in past lives. You have the A plan, the A initiative, that is more risk-taking, that is more authentic, maybe purposeful. Yes, and that's the basic polarization around purpose. One is the safety option, B option, and the other is the go for it type of option, the A option. Yes, and we are torn between those because of the necessities and, of course, all the other stuff that we tend to associate when we think in human development terms about this. One expresses our fears, others expresses more our loving capacities, our sense of contribution, our gifts onto the world, what makes us tingle, what makes us feel energized and unique and bond to make a mark, to make a dent. And the other is more play it safe, things are not easy, and I don't know what is going to happen, and blah blah blah. That's the basic polarization, of course. The process really amounts to the very best of our ability, in my perspective, really considering the full dimensions, but we don't really decide. And then I agree with the view that says that we don't decide with our head. We decide with our heart. We reflect with our head. We ponder with our head. We assess, we measure the risks, the consequences, the possible rewards with our head. But we sense the real significance, the real weight of making our lives better with our heart, not with our head. So, as such, I don't know if I answered the question or not the question, if if I put some more flesh onto the comment that you made. But really, the self-coaching process really is getting hands onto on these abilities to have internal feedback with quality from ourselves. And of course, if we think that if we are onto the coaching realm, we shouldn't think it just in terms of sort of Socratic process, which is by approximation. It is really very right to think so, because coaching really is a Socratic discipline, so to say, a Socratic skill, because coaching really is much driven by questions, by the ability to ask good questions, to considering different types of perspective around those questions, to really put ourselves onto causation, to make ourselves aware of our own limitations as well as our strengths, and to make the dance between nurturing ourselves and challenging ourselves by ourselves or with the help of a professional or professionals in plural. But as coaching in modern terms, in this conventional society that you have, the coaching expression, it's a set of deliberate practices that are reinforced with the appropriate frequency and intensity and span needed to generate the type of results we are after. So, as such, I will make some short suggestions around making that self-coaching for purpose really effective. The first, it's the awareness base suggestion, really amounts to the contemplative practices that we've been talking many times that we should have. And that is the beginning of it all, because those contemplative practices allows our own awareness to get the full benefit of our sensitivity, to really unleash our powers of perception, to really clarify our own internal waters, so to speak, in order to see the bottom of the lake with that most clarity possible. And of course, to really have that deep sense of peace that allows us to navigate to the rest of the voyage, of the journey, the daily journey, with that sense of centered calmness and undisturbed experience at the most profound level, because we can't avoid being somewhat disturbed by some events, but we can pass for them without losing our ground completely, and we don't need to get into despair, and we don't need to get into deep stages of fear and frightening and all sorts of negative states that we know that can happen. So that's the first thing that I would like to recommend in terms of self-coaching. It's a really deep and one more time stressy, because I've said it so many times, but it really is crucial. So it really is bound to be stressed one more time. So that's the first one. The second one, it's the journaling practice. That's the one I would like to recommend. I would like to recommend journaling at the beginning, the very beginning of the day, very brief, and then other at the end of the day. Like the first is more called like the morning journaling or the morning notes, and the other one it's the end of the day reflection. And those are both pervasive in many sources of personal development. So, and for purposeful driven things, the thing that amounts the most, it really is stressing the answers. That what is that I am meant to contribute, with my gifts, with my assets, with my talents, with my own sense of passion for life. If I lost it, when it was the last time that I feel really drawn to something, and what were the signs there? Can I remember it? Can I jot it down? Can I recall it one more time? Jot it down or record it in audio or even in video. I can share. I don't know if I share it already. I can share a secret. It's not a secret, but you can, if you are, I'm too much drawn to social media, Facebook, blah blah blah, and I lose many time doing that. Okay, try this. Try to open a secret or private group in Facebook just for you, because you can do so. And in that group, you only record your self-coaching for purpose practices. That's a bonus tip that I am sharing right now. And then you can do it with total security. You can make your own recordings there. You can make like a Facebook Live just for you to store the video and then check it later. And then you can copy the link and paste it into an external document, just for you to have your organization around it. Then you can label it, you can do whatever you want. But then you are using an habit that can be disturbing or destructive or time consuming and unproductive, you are making it into a productive. Because if you calibrate yourself, you set the habit of making a first trip to Facebook in the morning, a trip to record your own journal, your diary, it will be worth it. It will be a way of channeling that energy of going to a social media into taking care of yourself first, and taking care of your purpose first, and putting energy onto that. So that's one small tip. Then, of course, the other recommendation, that's our big trinity for the self-coach. Because in the middle of it, you can throw it all types of tools that you find proper to your own endeavor of living, finding, perfecting your life purpose. And the other is really having the sense, the awareness of what is happening in and outside yourself during the day. Training your awareness for perceiving what's going on. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? What about this situation? What is my internal dialogue around this? Very important. Is it a possibilities type of dialogue, or is self-denying type of dialogue? Am I recriminating myself, or am I allowing good possibilities to come forth? Or even better, am I silently witnessing whatever is happening without the need to generate internal content? Now I'm saying your comment, Julieta. By journaling, do you think we can also making things happen that contribute to your purpose? Don't want to move you away from the subject today, though. For sure. No, that's not. We are not digressing. No, for sure we can. By the very same act of expressing an energy in manifest form, like in speech or in writing, we are giving that energy added power in order for that energy to come through. In fact, that's the basic premise of The Secret, the famous personal development book and program. That, of course, it's really too much incomplete and really is bogus in the sense of not stressing all the other factors that should be taken into account in order for reality fully to manifest. But it has a point that really is a reality in itself, just incomplete, and that didn't allow the process to fully manifest itself as such. But yes, the answer is yes, for sure. But our intent, and I can understand several dimensions of the question, because sometimes you can have afraid of writing something in the diary because, oh my God, if it's manifest. If we start and end the journaling practice with an intent of that practice be for the very best of ourselves and for healing ourselves, we are communicating to the universe, to our subconsciousness, to the superconsciousness, that results that we are going to jot down or to record are really to the very best of our process. As such, that can be said, and that can be seen as a security break, so to speak, like a protective layer, some sort of shielding type of practice. And because we are, and then you can feel safer doing so. I don't know if that's was one of your considerations in you making your comment, but yes. because journaling, it really is an open exercise. We can do whatever we want in journaling, as long as in this perspective of the self-coaching for purpose, as long as it really is to nurture our very best selves. Because if we feel the need of rambling, of jotting more things, of venting there, maybe it can be useful depending on the times. I recall that when I was working, no problem. I'm messing to your last comment now. When I was working in a former job, I had a digital journal that I used, that combined all sorts of stuff, including venting, yes, including venting for some things that didn't work out the way I feel, that were the just, the proper, the truthful ways of expressing. So I've jotted down, and it helped a lot, immensely. Yes, the thing here is really to have awareness of what's happening, to understand our own flourishing, what is coming out of ourselves in terms of passions, in terms of interests, in terms of desires to make something happen that benefits ourselves and others, that makes us feel good in a benevolent, creative way. That's the thing here. Yes. And then, of course, I was talking about the third um, part of the practice for self-coaching, which really is the keeping during the day awareness. And in that awareness, in dealing and dancing and sometimes confronting the realities of our day-to-day life, we are going to get very needed, much needed intel in order to adjust, go forth, back down, whatever we feel we need, going towards our own purpose. And that's the thing of the self-coaching, because the self-coaching really amounts to making us fully able to learn to the utmost of our ability with whatever happens in life, and that really makes us coachable in whatever type of role we may find ourselves, or we put ourselves deliberately, purposefully into, for sure. And of course, if we have other personal development offers, works having place, those are incredibly helped by our own self achieved proficiency doing so. Yes, and I have all sorts of experience around those. Yes, I recall one of the times, maybe the first time I went into personal development training many years ago, some 9 years ago, I believe. Not so many, but 9 years is 9 years. Although I consider the beginning of my journey in personal development really with the martial arts, beginning back in 1991. Because for me, it really was the biggest personal development, deliberate practice, type of growth path that I've taken. But 9 years ago, I went there, and they say that I was a natural self-coach type of person. I don't. Of course, I like to hear that, but I don't know if I am. In the sense that I don't know if it was an adaptive response to life context, to life circumstances, to stuff that life throws at you, and you have to deal with it. And of course, you deal it in one way or the other, and that really was a big help in order to have those skills, the self-initiating type of inclination, and the self-contained also type of inclination to keep things with yourself and dealing with things by yourself. But really, it can't hurt to have great skills into self-coaching. That I can assure. What can hurt, and I think that in some sense, sometimes I have hurt myself, if we prevent ourselves to go towards more participative contacts that can make the difference into our purpose, but we, for some sort of past experience or self-sabotage or afraid of paying the price of doing so, not having a strategy for dealing with things that we don't find so keen to our own makeup, that can be an issue. But self doesn't exclude the other, and in the end, all the great teachers, all the great philosophers, the great thinkers. I always was recalling that I was rereading a book by Mr. Abraham Maslow this weekend, The Farther Reaches of Human Nature, and he was talking about metacognition. And at the last chapter about metacognition, he said, all the things that I'm mostly a reason from my own internal experience, not from dealing with clients or patients, not from the research, but from my own life, from my own awareness. And that's the same message that you hear on Eckhart Tolle, and that's the same message that you hear on many other teachers that say the same thing. Anthony Robbins, all the big names, and more than names, the big beings. Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, be the difference you want to see in the world. The amount the same, that if we do a deep work with our own selves, we have the ability to work in depth with other people. Of course, having the proper tools for doing so in different set of doing it. Right? Because if you go to doing in professional settings, you need to have a certain skill set, certain type of certifications or approvals, whatever. But in fundamental core terms, if we are able to do it with ourselves, we are able to do it with the world. And that's what I have to say about this, my dear friends. Thank you so much for watching, especially you, Julieta, because you are doing it every single day live and participating and putting your fair share of efforts, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful, of course, not just for me and for the live, but especially for you, because that really affects our universe as a whole. Yes, I really believe so. That really makes a dent into the universe. And so I salute you, I congratulate you, I praise you for that. To all the others, my dear friends, participate, ask questions, send me messages, whenever you want to do so. And if not, take your time, take your seat, take your spot, relax, enjoy it. Tomorrow we are going to talk about the hunting gathering mindset. And yes, this making proper remark, this is influenced by the readings I'm making from Mr. Charles Eisenstein, and I'll use this concept of the hunter-gatherer society. I will translate it onto the purpose-driven journey. How do we use the hunter-gatherer mindset, which is not the agriculture mindset, which is not the industrialistic mindset, which is not the information age mindset. No, it's this very primordial way of interacting with life. What advantages this way can bring to us these days of complexity. See you tomorrow. Take care. Oh, just one more comment from you, Juliet. I will going to ask you to answer this before we'll go. Gonna have a roundtable meeting inside my head now. Okay, the theme today is self-sabotage. Thank you for today's live again. A pleasure to be here. My pleasure, my dear Julieta. Please be very, very, very well. Enjoy your life, you all. See you tomorrow.